Are you feeling, well, overwhelmed maybe, by just the constant stream of information, the worries, the pace of modern life? Do you ever crave that sense of calm, control, real happiness, but it feels like it's always just out of reach? Well, today we're taking a deep dive into an ancient philosophy that promises to deliver exactly that, Stoicism. And look, this isn't about being emotionless or robotic. Not at all.
Yeah.
It's actually a really powerful, practical way to build peace from the inside, no matter what's happening around you.
Yeah, and we've gathered insights from, the Foundation, Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, but also looked at modern takes that show just how relevant these ideas still are. Our mission, really, is to unpack all this and give you some actionable tools you can actually use.
Think of this as your shortcut, maybe, to understanding a way of living that could really improve your outlook, your quality of life, hopefully giving you those aha moments without drowning you in information. So let's begin by tackling a really common misconception. When we hear stoical today, it often brings up images of, well, like the Vulcans from Star Trek, right?
Yeah.
Completely unemotional. But that's a big distortion, isn't it, of what ancient Stoicism was really about?
It absolutely is a huge distortion. What's often overlooked, you see, is that Stoicism isn't about not having emotions. Far from it. It's an ancient way of looking at the world that emphasizes building happiness, building peace from within. It's about refusing to let external things mess with that inner calm. I mean, a true Stoic would recognize you need emotion to enjoy life, to connect. The goal isn't getting rid of emotions. It's managing our reactions to things, cultivating contentment, peace.
Right. Managing reactions, not suppressing feelings. That's
Yeah.
key. So how does it become more than just theory? How does it become this pragmatic manual to live you mentioned? What makes it so usable?
Well, it's because it focuses squarely on what we can do, our sphere of influence, if you like. It's a philosophy of action, of internal discipline. It's designed to help you live a productive, worthy life without regret. Basically, it gives you the tools to take charge of your inner world so you can flourish no matter what happens outside.
It's amazing how something so old still resonates.
Yeah.
Let's trace it back. Where did these ideas even come from? Who started it all?
Well, the story starts with a pretty dramatic event, actually. The founder, Zeno of Citium, was originally a merchant, born around 334 BC in Crete. And the legend goes, when he was about 30, he was on a voyage to Athens and lost everything. His entire cargo of valuable purple dye gone in a shipwreck.
Wow, everything. Just like that. You can only imagine the feeling.
Yeah.
So what happened then? Did he just give up?
Quite the opposite, it seems. After this huge loss, he stumbled upon the works of Socrates, and apparently they just clicked with him, offered a new way forward. He then studied with the Cynics for a while, the ones who preached living simply, according to nature, rejecting materialism. But he found them a bit, well, lacking in scientific interest. So he explored other Socratic ideas before eventually founding his own school around 301 BC.
And that school was in Athens, right? In a public place.
Exactly, in a colonnade in the main square, the Stoa Poikile, which means the painted porch. And that's where the name Stoicism comes from the Stoa.
Oh, okay. The painted porch philosophy.
Precisely. And while Zeno laid the foundation, a lot of what we know and study today comes from later figures who really refined and expanded Stoicism. There are three particularly influential luminaries we mostly learn from. Their lives and teachings are fascinatingly different.
Okay, so who are these key figures?
Well, first up, there's Seneca the Younger, Roman statesman, playwright, essayist, pretty high profile. He was actually a tutor and, for a time, a principal advisor to Emperor Nero. Yes, that Nero.
Nero. Really? How did that work out?
Surprisingly well for a while. His influence is credited with a period of Nero's reign being relatively even-handed and competent, which is saying something. Seneca left behind a huge amount of writing essays, 124 letters focused on practical ethics, how to live well, still incredibly relevant.
Advising Nero and leaving a legacy of wisdom. That's quite the balancing act.
Who else?
Then we have Epictetus. And his story is just remarkable. He was born a slave around AD 55. He also suffered a severe leg injury early on, leaving him lame. But his master, who was actually a former slave himself, recognized his passion for philosophy and encouraged it.
Wow, from slavery to philosopher. Exactly. After he was eventually freed, Epictetus became a renowned teacher. He didn't write things down himself, but his student, Arian, meticulously recorded his discourses. And that's giving us this incredibly practical, down-to-earth advice, very focused on what's truly within our control.
Amazing. And the third one, the emperor.
Yes, Marcus Aurelius, Roman emperor from AD 161 to 180. heavily influenced by Epictetus, actually. He wrote what we now call Meditations, though the original title was more like To Myself. He wrote it primarily for himself while on military campaigns.
So like a personal journal of Stoic practice.
Exactly. It wasn't meant for publication. It's his private thoughts on applying these principles under immense pressure. He was known as a just emperor, famous for his calm even when facing, serious challenges or even insolence from others that would make most leaders fly off the handle.
It's really striking, isn't it? A merchant who lost it all, a former slave, a statesman navigating treacherous politics, and an emperor leading armies. Could you get a broader cross-section of humanity? It really speaks to the potential of Stoicism to offer something for, well, everyone.
It really does. It cuts across status and circumstance.
So given this diverse group, what are the absolute core beliefs, the things that tie them all together? Zeno's goal was happiness through a good flow of life, living in accordance with nature through reason. But what does that actually look like in practice?
It means maintaining that inner peace, that sense of calm, regardless of what's going on around you. And the central truth, the real linchpin here, is realizing that the source of all our feelings, good or bad, ultimately comes from within us, not from outside events.
Okay, that's a big one. So it's not what happens, but how we interpret what happens.
Precisely. The goal then becomes building that inner peace, that happiness, while actively working to banish fear, anxiety, all those destructive emotions that arise from our interpretations.
And you mentioned the key to building that inner calm is figuring out what's in our control versus what's outside of it. Sounds simple, but I bet it's harder than it looks.
Oh, it is. Because our minds constantly mix them up. Epictetus was super clear on this. He said things like our opinion, our aim, our desire, our aversion, those are firmly within our control. We choose those.
Okay, our inner thoughts and intentions.
Right. But things like our body, it gets sick, it ages our property, our reputation, our job, our office. Those are ultimately outside our direct, total control. Later Stoics even talked about a kind of scale of control. Some things we influence, sure, but never fully control.
And chasing those things we can't fully control. That's where the problems start.
Exactly. It leads to frustration, obviously. But it also drains energy we could be using on what we can control, our judgments, our actions. Plus, those external things are often dependent on other people, which makes us vulnerable, dependent on their approval or actions.
That makes a lot of sense. So the unpleasantness we feel isn't the event itself, it's our perception of it. You mentioned our perceptions are wholly manufactured by our minds. How do we actually start changing those perceptions in the moment?
It starts with awareness, pausing, creating a little space between the event and your reaction. So something happens, you feel that negative gut reaction, anger, fear, whatever. Instead of just running with it, you stop and ask, is this thing inherently bad, or am I just judging it as bad?
Like the flat tire example you mentioned earlier. If the tire is flat, that's a fact.
Right. Neutral fact. This is a disaster, my day is ruined part. That's your judgment, your perception. You can choose to see it differently. Okay, an inconvenience, how do I handle this? Or even, right, a chance to practice patience. You use reason to choose a more constructive interpretation.
Treating that gap. Okay.
Right.
Beyond control and perception, what other key ideas shape the Stoic mindset?
Well, there's a strong emphasis on our social nature. We're part of a larger community. So living in harmony, avoiding unnecessary conflict, being considerate, that's vital. Being a good citizen, essentially.
And then there's the big one, accepting our own mortality. Sounds a bit grim.
It can sound that way, but it's actually meant to be invigorating, not morbid. Recognizing that life is precious and brief is a powerful motivator not to waste it. Don't sweat the small stuff. Don't chase trivial things. Don't try to control the uncontrollable.
Focus on what matters because time is limited.
Exactly. It helps clarify priorities. And alongside that is living with integrity, acting according to your own principles, your own self-respect, regardless of external approval or disapproval. Authenticity.
Right. And managing expectations, that feels very relevant today.
Right.
We set ourselves up for disappointment so often.
We do. Stoics weren't against goals, but they understood that tying your happiness solely to achieving external outcomes is risky, because outcomes aren't fully in your control. So temper your expectations with realism. Consider the probabilities, your own abilities, the resources available. Understand that happiness comes from the effort, the virtue shown in the attempt, not just the trophy at the end.
And what about criticism? How do they suggest handling negative feedback or, people just being nasty?
It's quite straightforward, logically. If the criticism is accurate, well, be grateful. Someone just pointed out a flaw you can fix, learn from it. If it's false or malicious or just plain wrong, ignore it. Why let someone else's flawed judgment or bad intentions disturb your inner peace? You can't control what they think or say, only how you respond internally.
That all sounds incredibly logical. But, our brains aren't always logical. We have these gut reactions, these primal responses. Emotional pain can feel physical. How did the Stoics suggest we actually train ourselves to respond differently?
That's a great question because they absolutely recognized it takes practice. It's not just an intellectual exercise. And interestingly, modern neuroscience backs this up with the concept of neuroplasticity. Our brains can change. They can rewire themselves based on our thoughts, our behaviors, our focus.
So mental practice can actually change our brains, just like physical practice changes muscles.
Essentially, yes. Internal mental exercises can drive real positive change, sharpening our reason, strengthening our ability to choose our responses over those ingrained instincts.
Okay, so what are some of these exercises? You mentioned negative visualization earlier, which sounds, well, negative, like the opposite of positive thinking.
It does sound counterintuitive, doesn't it? But it's incredibly powerful. Instead of just visualizing success, Stoics like Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius recommended periodically imagining losing things you value.
Losing them. Like what?
Your health, your possessions, even loved ones, not dwelling on it constantly, but spending short periods contemplating their absence.
How does that help? Wouldn't that just make you anxious?
Surprisingly, no, it tends to do the opposite. First, it reduces the fear of loss. By confronting the possibility mentally, it lessens the shock and emotional bite if something bad does happen. Second, and perhaps more importantly, it drastically increases your appreciation for what you have right now.
Ah, okay. By imagining life without it, you value it more when you return to the present.
Exactly. You stop taking things for granted. You realize how precious simple things are: health, friends, freedom of thought. It builds resilience and gratitude. It's mental preparation.
Preparing for the worst to appreciate the present. I like that. What of the other technique, voluntary discomfort? That sounds even less appealing, like deliberately making yourself uncomfortable.
Yes, it can sound like self-punishment, but again, the goal isn't pain for pain's sake. It's about deliberately, occasionally, choosing mild discomfort.
Like what sort of thing? Sleeping on the floor?
Could be, for some, or simpler things. Skipping a meal occasionally, taking a cold shower, walking when you could drive, leaving the AC off on a hot day, unplugging devices for a while. Seneca apparently ran barefoot sometimes.
Okay, so building tolerance for minor hardships.
Precisely. It does two things. It builds resilience, making you less fragile and less dependent on constant comfort. You learn you can handle less than ideal situations, and it massively increases your appreciation for the comforts you do have. That warm bed feels amazing after a night on the floor. It boosts self-discipline and willpower across the board. Start small, obviously.
Right. Don't go full Spartan overnight.
Definitely not.
It's one thing to practice these in a relative comfort, but the really compelling part is seeing how these ideas hold up under extreme adversity. You mentioned modern examples.
Absolutely. And this is where you see the true power. Stoicism has, for instance, a strong following in the military.
Yeah.
Makes sense, right? Dealing with uncertainty, danger, loss. Marcus Aurelius himself was basically applying it on the battlefield.
Can you share a specific modern story?
A really striking one is James Stockdale, U.S. Navy pilot, shot down over Vietnam, prisoner of war for over 7 years.
7 years. Unimaginable.
He endured horrific torture, solitary confinement. He explicitly credited Stoic philosophy, particularly the teachings of Epictetus, which he encountered before deployment, with his survival. Specifically something called the Stockdale Paradox.
The Stockdale Paradox. What's that?
It's this crucial balance. You must maintain unwavering faith that you will prevail in the end. Never lose that hope, but you must simultaneously confront the most brutal, harsh facts of your current reality right now, whatever they are. Stockdale noticed the prisoners who were overly optimistic will be out by Christmas and out by Easter were the ones who broke. Their hope was constantly crushed. They died of broken hearts.
Wow. So hope for the best, but confront the absolute worst of the present.
Exactly. Accept the brutal reality without losing faith in the ultimate outcome. That's pure Stoic resilience. Facing what is while holding on to inner resolve.
That's incredibly powerful. Any other examples like that?
Definitely. Consider Rhonda Cornum, another pilot shot down in Iraq during the Gulf War. She faced terrible treatment, including sexual assault. Her response, when asked later, was astonishing. She chose to control her perception. She described the assault as simply unpleasant. That's all.
Just unpleasant.
Yes, an incredible act of mental reframing. Denying the event the power to define her or shatter her inner state, that's Stoicism in action under fire.
Remarkable mental control. And then there's Viktor Frankl.
Yes, Viktor Frankl, psychologist, Holocaust survivor, imprisoned in Auschwitz, witnessed and endured unimaginable cruelty, yet he maintained control over his inner life, his attitude. His famous quote from Man's Search for Meaning sums it up. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing. The last of the human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way.
Even in Auschwitz, that inner freedom remained.
He proved it. His work is a profound testament to that core Stoic idea. Our ultimate freedom lies in our response.
These stories, from Zeno losing his cargo, to Marcus Aurelius on campaign, to Stockdale, Cornum, Frankl, they just powerfully demonstrate the sheer mental strength this philosophy can build. It's not just theory, it's a survival tool. Okay, so we've covered the history, the core ideas, the exercise, these incredible examples. How do we bring this into our everyday lives? Let's try and distill some really practical takeaways.
Great idea. Let's focus on a few key principles you can literally start applying, well, today.
Perfect. Let's start with maybe the most fundamental. Control your attitude. Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Give us a quick, everyday example.
Okay, simple one. You get an annoying email from a colleague. Your instant reaction might be irritation, anger, a Stoic pause. The email exists outside event. Your reaction, irritation, is internal. You can choose not to let it ruin your mood. You can choose to respond calmly or even see it as a chance to practice clear communication. You control the response, not the email's arrival.
Okay, separate the event from the reaction. Got it. Then practice gratitude through loss. That negative visualization thing. How does that look day to day?
It doesn't have to be dramatic. Just take 30 seconds sometimes. Think about your morning coffee. What if you couldn't afford it or taste it? Think about a person you care about. Briefly imagine them not being there. It sounds morbid, but it instantly refocuses you on appreciating them now. It combats taking things for granted. Remembering, as Marcus Aurelius said, that we borrow everything. Be grateful for the loan while you have it.
Appreciating the loan. I like that. Next, embody your values. Epictetus said, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. How does that translate?
It means your actions should match your words, your beliefs. If you value honesty, be honest, even when it's tough. If you value kindness, act kindly, even to difficult people. It's about living your principles, not just talking about them. Your character is shown through your actions, especially the difficult ones. Let that be your philosophy lesson to the world.
Actions speak louder than words. Makes sense. And this one seems crucial today. Cultivate few wants. Epictetus again. Wealth is not wanting the materialistic, but in having few wants. Easier said than done.
In our consumer culture, absolutely. But the point is, chasing external things, more money, more stuff, more status is often a treadmill. The desire just shifts. By consciously wanting less, by appreciating what you have, by focusing on intrinsic goods like wisdom and relationships, you actually increase your inner wealth, your contentment. It's about finding richness and simplicity, not constant acquisition.
Shifting focus inward. Okay, this next one sounds really challenging, but maybe the most profound. Love your fate, Amor Fati. Not just accepting what happens, but loving it.
Yes, it's radical. Epictetus hinted at it. Nietzsche really named it. It's not just putting up with things. It's actively embracing everything that happens as necessary, as exactly what you needed.
Even the bad stuff, the setbacks.
Especially the setbacks. Instead of wishing, if only this hadn't happened, you say, this is part of my path. This challenge, this difficulty is here to teach me something, to make me stronger, wiser. You transform obstacles into fuel. You don't just accept your life story. You love it. All of it, because it forged you. It's incredibly empowering, taking total ownership.
Wow, that is a perspective shift. Okay, finally, a very practical one. Guard your time. Marcus Aurelius, again, reminding us death overshadows us. How do we apply that without getting morbid?
It's about urgency and priority. Time is the one thing you can't get back. So don't waste it on trivialities, on procrastination, on endless scrolling, on worrying about things you can't control. Ask yourself, is this truly important? Is this the best use of this finite moment? Marcus Aurelius literally had to pep talk himself out of bed some mornings to go to work as a human being. It's about intentionality, using your precious time for what truly matters to you.
So pulling it all together, what we've really discovered today is that Stoicism isn't about being cold or detached at all. It's actually about cultivating a deep inner strength, a kind of calm power that lets you navigate life's ups and downs with grace and purpose. turning obstacles into opportunities.
And it really does raise that question. Why has this stuck around for over 2,000 years? I think its adaptability is key. The fact that it worked for a merchant, an emperor, a slave, and still works for POWs, for athletes, for everyday people today, that says something profound. It really is a framework for mental strength, for emotional maturity, a path towards a genuinely more fulfilled life, whatever your circumstances throw at you.
So as you go about your day, maybe just consider this. How much of your frustration, your stress, really comes from the outside world, and how much is actually your reaction to it? And if that reaction truly is within your control, well, how much peace is just sitting there waiting for you to claim it? If this deep dive has got you thinking, the journey doesn't end here. We definitely encourage you to explore the originals, Seneca, Epictetus, Marcus Aurelius, maybe some modern guides too. Find what resonates most with you.